One aspect that can help you to boost your sales is so big and important that it needs its entire own video, and that's your persuasive writing. This is what you use to sell your individual items in their store listing, but it's also what you use on a sales page to promote items that are of a particular high value and that you really want to shift. The first and most important tip is to capture the attention of your readers as quickly as you can. This means you should use a bold statement, perhaps capitals, and you should address the reader directly. Now you can get the body you want, and that works much better than a quick workout for burning fat. Asking a question is also a common and effective method because it forces the reader to engage with the text by thinking about the answer. Hence, are you sick of feeling tired and unfit? The problem with this, though, is it can seem a little too obvious as an in your face marketing technique. An even better strategy, then, is to use a narrative structure for your opening. In other words, structure your text like a story. That way, people will want to know what happens next, and the text will seem inherently much more interesting. This is true because we're so used to reading stories. We've been listening to stories for centuries, and as a result, they're always an effective tool for getting people to listen. They're also easier to make emotionally resonant. A great opening might be, I was unhappy with my body and looking for answers. Little did I know the solution would lie in an ingredient found in most diets already. You should also use headers and enable skimming. The reason this point is so important is that most people are in a huge hurry, especially online. Attention spans are short, and no one wants to wait around to read a huge ream of text that's just trying to sell them something. Another way around this issue is to make your text skimmable. A good way to do this is to use lots of headings. Ideally, a visitor should be able to just read your headings and still understand the entire pitch. Addressing the reader directly is particularly useful because we have evolved to pay attention to things we think concern us. At the same time, though, you should also take this further by thinking of more ways that you can use to make your text personal. In particular, this means using a personal interest story. Explaining how your product works by saying how it has helped someone else or even you. And this works much better because it means the reader will be able to imagine how it's going to affect their life, and because they'll be more likely to connect with what you're offering on an emotional level. Earlier in this series, we discussed the importance of value proposition. This is something you should always keep in mind when selling. How do you make the product applicable to the reader? How do you give it emotional weight? Well, try to get them to imagine what life will be like once they have your product, and this will make them want it more. When someone reads your text, they're going to know you're trying to persuade them, and so they'll be on the defensive. They'll be thinking of all the reasons why what you're saying probably isn't true. But you can combat this by addressing each concern in your text. Try and second guess what the reader might be thinking, and then explain why this needn't be a concern. This also means trying to come up with solutions to the most common barriers to sale. These are the psychological barriers that prevent people wanting to buy, such as the risk element. We've already seen one way you can get around that by selling products from a trustworthy site and selling cheaper items first. Another tip is to make sure you have a full money-back guarantee. This is something people won't often use, but knowing it's there will help you to make many more sales. You can also try to combat buyer's remorse, which means taking away the feeling of guilt people get by spending money. Using the contrast technique is one way to account for this. Another is to describe your product as an investment. Ultimately, The best way to start building your dropshipping business is to start by selling a product from your site and then to experiment and grow from there. The exact strategies you use are going to depend usually on the nature of your website, your audience, and your goals. It's up to you to find your way, to see what works, and to tweak and evolve your business over time. Hopefully, this video guide has given you all the tools you need to get started. You should now have a strong idea of how a dropshipping business works and how to get started. And you should now have a grasp on how to encourage products to grow, how to choose items that are likely to sell, and how to find the right market and audience for what you're selling. Once you begin selling physical products to your audience, you'll unlock the kinds of profits that you just can't get as an affiliate, and all without taking any significant risks or spending much money at all. And I wish you every success. So exactly what is dropshipping? Dropshipping is technically a fulfillment model. Fulfillment in a business term, of course, means delivery. So in this sense, dropshipping is the manner in which orders are delivered to customers. Normally, selling a physical product means that you need to buy numerous items and then sell them at an inflated price. The way you would normally do this is as a reseller. Here, you would buy wholesale items, inventory bought in bulk at a discounted price, and you would then sell it on at an inflated cost and keep the difference, and that's your profit margin. The problem with this model is you need to make a big investment in the stock, and then you have to deliver the products to your customers. This means you're taking a financial risk by ordering the stock in advance, and if you make zero sales, you can lose a lot of cash. You have to pay for the shipping and also handle all of the administrative tasks. You'll need to constantly take stock of your inventory, and you'll need to refund customers for deliveries that don't arrive. In short, it's a lot to take on for an individual hoping to run a business from home in their spare time. Dropshipping changes all this because now the wholesaler is handling delivery and they don't require you to order in bulk. So simple. You list the items for sale in your online store just like you normally would, and then when a customer orders them, you pass that sale on directly to the wholesaler. They then send out the product on your behalf and make sure it reaches the buyer, and you get the money. This might sound very similar to affiliate marketing, but there are a few key differences. For starters, the amount of money you earn will tend to be higher than affiliate marketing. When you operate as a reseller, the usual pricing method is something called keystone pricing. Keystone pricing essentially means that the amount you're selling the product for is twice the amount you pay the manufacturers. This is one of the most common conventions for this type of business, and to all intents and purposes, dropshipping businesses are resellers. The other big benefit of dropshipping over affiliate marketing is that you don't have to mention the existence of the dropshipping business at all. In other words, the customer never knows that it's not you who's selling the product. You're not sending them to another website where they can check out and buy the product. You're just selling them the product as though it were your own and forgetting about it. This is fantastic because it means that your business looks much more professional, and because you're no longer sending visitors away from your brand in order to make the sales.